want to talk about a little bit about reading a philosopher really well. Now, the thing is, there's some, very polite and likable Randists, or Randians, Objectivists, whatever you want to call them, that are now tending to tell me to read more of Ayn Rand's work. Now, the thing is, I've read a lot of Ayn Rand's work, and it's similar to seeing a lot of an artist's paintings. You don't necessarily have to see every single painting of an artist to get the idea of whether you like that artist. And in every painting, you don't have to look at every brushstroke to understand whether you like the painting. Now, as a philosopher, yes, I want to look very closely at the brushstrokes. But I have done that, and you see, the thing is with Ayn, there are several key brushstrokes that she uses over and over and over again that I strongly disagree with. Ayn Rand did not invent these questions about the nature of objective reality. These aren't topics we only understand in philosophy because of Ayn Rand. In fact, a lot of the people in philosophy don't even consider Ayn Rand to really be taking part in that conversation. She's commenting on things that are part of a philosophical conversation that they are familiar with. So specifically, she denies a relativistic reality. She argues for an objective reality. I understand those arguments in general. It's not just Ayn. There's a whole class of philosophies that have a similar pattern where people may notice their differences, but there is a strain of similarity in the kinds of people and kinds of thinking that are attracted to objectivism, certain kinds of libertarianism, and all these newly named things that weren't named, as far as I knew, 30 years ago, like minarchy and market anarchy. Now, Ayn Rand started noticing these divisions, I would say, because whereas a lot of libertarians, like Ayn Rand, and a lot of objectivists appreciate libertarianism, Ayn didn't like libertarians. That wasn't the kind of freedom she was talking about. She was not a libertarian. The libertarians were much too relativist, basically, for her, because they have more of an anything goes attitude. She has no, we can know what goes and what doesn't go. We can objectively figure that out. 2, I have a problem with just about any philosophy that accepts an objectivity like that, because ideas are programs for the human mind. What is the purpose of any particular idea then, in terms of the role of that idea in a human mind? And a belief in objectivism, to me, inevitably leads and comes from and is part of somebody that believes they have objective knowledge. I mean, if you believe in objectivity in principle, but you don't believe that we can be objective as humans ever, we can't get any of that objective knowledge, then you have something functionally equivalent to a kind of skepticism. Rand didn't have that, and she really certainly thought certain things. And what were they? Well, there are a lot of intuitional things. I mean, somebody was quoting her the other day about her epistemology and about reason. And, she just talks about humans as this special animal, and other animals don't have this faculty, so we should use it. And it's all just intuitionalism. I mean, we are animals. She sets these divisions up. And what direction does she go with that? She wants to say that our successful industrialists from laissez-faire capitalistic systems were successful men. Okay? Now, some of the people are pointing out that while she bases everything in property and profit, that there's more kinds of profit than just money. And they say this in order to defend the fact that the Ayn Rand Institute itself is a not-for-profit organization. So we can change the definitions of profit. But, profit and property are just ideas. When you say that the human body is our own property, you're just saying, well, I have this model, property, and look, it applies over here. We didn't think it applied to this kind of situation, but look, it does. Look how well it works. Look how the system analysis works out if you think of a human being as property of themselves. We don't have to do that. We can invent new ideas. We have other ideas and other metaphors as well. Why does she emphasize that? If you're going to have to go and redefine profit to be, things like social profit, like the kind of profit that a Randist thinks the Ayn Rand Institute is working for, then how can she say that an industrialist is automatically a good man? He makes $1 billion in some market. those of us that don't believe in laissez-faire capitalism are saying the reason that's not okay, even though we're for successful businesses and for profit, in my case, I'm all for the concept of profit. I think it's important. But we're saying that person might be a bad person because they might have cost in this other non-monetary kind of profit way more than the monetary profit. And you can't really compare, because we're not saying, no, they've cost $2 billion of social profit. No, that you can't put that in monetary terms. So if you're going to redefine the term profit, fine, you and I might have compatible philosophies. I'm a pragmatist. Pragmatists say that things should be judged on how well they work. And one way of putting that would be, how much do they profit us in a sense that isn't limited to monetary profit? How much do they profit us in terms of the criteria of our success? What we're looking for out of something that we do. Okay, so Ayn didn't go in that direction. She really did want to say people that were making these great financial profits were doing the biggest social profit. She wants to define the social profits in terms of what comes out of letting capitalists do whatever they want. And again, I have a fundamental disagreement with Ayn Rand, because I have a game theory attitude towards the economy. There's no such thing as a laissez-faire economy where the government isn't involved at all. That can't happen. The government is creating the currency. The government is creating the infrastructure so that you can be able to get to the marketplace and trade your goods. The government is providing these foundations, which is why I don't think of it as something that needs to govern me. I don't think we are governed, but it's something that manages our infrastructure and provides the game. We live off of this game, but it's still a game in the sense that you can have different kinds of currencies. There's a lot of different ways to organize the pieces in this game, and we use it to survive, and that makes it important. And then you also have to take into a game like that, your real principles. We have this economic game so that we can all survive. If people are sitting on the sidewalk with no jobs, starving to death, if you have some sort of metaphysical faith in your game, you'll go, oh, well, too bad, lost the game. That's what's supposed to happen. That is the good. Those people are just lazy, or they should be in that situation. But most people are realizing, well, it is just a game, and sometimes with games, there's certain results that are like, well, that wasn't the purpose of this game. The purpose of this economic game is for us all to trade goods, be able to cooperate on these large scales. It's not to put people in the street. So we think, hey, if you get put in the street, that maybe we'll, here, give you some food, we'll help you survive, help you get back in the game, playing the game the way it was meant to be played. And Ayn Rand doesn't seem to me to go in that direction. She seems to go in the direction of, we can have traditional ideas of monetary profit and property that is valued in dollars and personal worth, and that we can tell the whole story in terms of that. And I'm not going to believe that. I can look at every little brushstroke and the texture of every little brushstroke of Ayn Rand. It's not going to change the fact that I reject her big picture. So, on the other hand, most of what I claim about objectivists has come from talking to objectivists for decades. So, if you want to tell me your interpretation of objectivism, I'm willing to alter my view of what it is to be an objectivist, what kind of people are into that. And you might even invent an interpretation, because I think the interpretation of her ideas and what she was trying to get at, if it really was redeemable at all, which I'm not sure, but if it is, it'll evolve. And maybe one of you is going to get an interpretation that makes sense, that brings this philosophy back into the world that I understand that it can make sense. So I'm open to that, but I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think there's a good chance of that. I think I have looked well enough, and that the big picture would have to be broken down and rearranged for it to be a philosophy that I really appreciate. So